right, ladies and gentlemen, it is December 20th, 2018. 5 more days, hint, hint, hint. 10:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, hey guys, we've been talking about this for a while now. This El Nino situation has caused meteorologists and professionals to expect or let us know that we should expect an uptick in tornadoes, especially in the state of Florida, due to that low, very dramatic jet stream that we're going to be dealing with from winter through spring. And guess what? Today was one of those days. At least 3 confirmed touchdown tornadoes in Florida. I do have some exclusive footage from couple friends of ours that live near Vero Beach. They just recently moved there. Scott and Leslie, thank you guys so much for the video and the pictures you've sent me. And Caroline, these are Caroline's friends from the older town we used to live in. And then we both ended up moving into different states. So they are currently in Florida. We are in Northeast PA. But guys, check this out. Dozens of homes damaged after tornadoes and severe storms sweep through Florida. We talked about this yesterday being a possibility, and it has come to fruition. Severe storms swept across Florida on Thursday, damaging dozens of homes ahead of the holiday weekend. Up to 70 homes were damaged in Zephyrhills, Florida, I want to say. Zephyr Hills. So Zephyrhills. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. You guys know me and my pronunciations. You can correct me if you want. I appreciate it all. All right, so some of these were caused by straight line winds, which are just, your straight A to B line winds, very strong, very fast. They can cause damage just like tornadoes do. So most of these pictures up here are from straight line winds, but there were 3 confirmed touchdown tornadoes elsewhere in Florida. Some near, where was it? I have it down here. Polk County reported an injury due to a tornado. I'm not sure on injury or death reports. No injuries reported. 4 homes deemed unsafe to live in due to damage likely caused by straight line winds 50 to 60 miles an hour. That was Pasco County, Florida. So that was a straight line wind deal. You could see all sorts of damage that went on today all across Florida, all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, and now moving up towards the Carolinas, believe it or not. We were pushing hurricane force winds in these areas, guys. So Sarasota, Florida, you got over 4 inches of rain due to these severe storms. That was a very quick dumping of rain, flash flooding, you name it, all that stuff going on. And we already talked about the 70 homes that have been either destroyed or damaged significantly. Now, I want to take a look at this radar chart right here because this shows us the last couple hours, and you could see this red straight line right here. Very, very severe weather. We have Sarasota in here. We have Vero Beach up in this area. And just because this line is not over those areas, that does not mean that that's not where the tornadoes are. The tornadoes spin off of these severe lines, and that's where we get those touchdowns. And the B-line winds were more along this straight line because it was a force that was going straight up in the air. So you could see as we move forward in the Doppler radar, you could see that line shooting straight up. So from here to here, it's kind of just going south to north, if you can picture it like that. So that is why you get those straight line winds. And then as those winds go up, you get little curl-offs and stuff like that. And then with the west to east shear, you get a crosswind. Those cause tornadoes. But a lot of this south of Orlando, which is a good thing for me. That's where my grandma lives, so I'm always watching Orlando for those situations. But you could just get an idea of how severe some of this weather was that was moving through Florida today. And then as we get to the last frame, there's still some severe downpours going on from Melbourne down to Palm Beach. The Keys are getting hit. And then the just outside Miami, there's some severe weather. If you want to get into the Freeport areas and then those little island chains that are down there. But once I scroll up here, I want you to take a look at this. These straight line winds are now entering areas of the Carolinas. Now, that is where the new tornado threat is. If you look here, you could see that Florida is covered in wind warnings. Those are high wind warnings. We got gale force warnings in the entire Gulf and most of the Atlantic. Super gale force in some areas off the coast of Virginia. And then we have rain and flood and flash flood watches going on in the Northeast as we speak. Snow falling in the Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire areas as expected. And then we have gale force going on in the Great Lakes. And now pay attention up here too, because this system is what we talked about yesterday, as it's going to come down and then flow back up into the Northeast, possibly causing some snow for the Northeast after Christmas. So keep that in mind. That's going to be after Christmas. Now, as far as the tornado prediction center for now going forward, the target area looks to be North Carolina. Off the coast here where you see the orange, the green is moisture. Tornado, when I click that, you could see that is the area to watch as of right now. That does not mean there will be tornadoes, but it means that that is the most likely area. Earlier today, when you brought this down here, this was just covered in 80s and 70%, basically guaranteeing tornadoes, and that's exactly what happened. So this low jet stream dip, guys, from our El Nino situation is really causing issues in Florida, and it's not showing any signs of stopping because this is staying put, which means any major moisture systems that get caught up in this, that get pushed across Florida, you see how it's kind of got that pinkish flow to it? That means that the speed of it's moving a lot quicker. So these storms cling and then they move through quick, and that's where you get those beeline winds that are very strong. They could be as strong and do as much damage as tornadoes. Tornadoes are obviously much scarier as they are a visual sight that you can look at. The straight line winds, they come out of nowhere. All of a sudden you'll be looking outside, it'll be semi-calm, and then all of a sudden you get this gust and it just will not stop for like a minute or two. And then the next thing you know, you have trees on the ground, your car's crushed by the side of your house. You name it, guys. Dangerous situation going on in Florida, and now we have to think about our friends here in the Carolinas. Now, why did this happen? This is, we've talked about this, and we can see it here. This was that severe strip that went right through from the Gulf, right across the top area of Florida. That was the main source of this severe weather. We talked about this yesterday and the day before, possibly being an issue, and now we know that it is an issue, and that line is now coming up towards the Carolinas. Like we said, the low pressure centralized over looks to be the Mississippi, Alabama area, about to move into Georgia. So the low pressure will be in Georgia with everything whipping around it counterclockwise. That is putting moisture up the East Coast. That is adding more fuel to the possibility of a counterclockwise rotation over the Northeast. That's going to bring down cold air and snow. We'll talk about that at a later time, but really wanted to focus on these severe strips right here, which are now clipping the outer banks of North Carolina. So those areas need to be on watch if you have not been on watch already. And with that said, that's all I wanted to bring up on this video. Now time to take a look at the exclusive videos and pictures sent in by Leslie and Scott. Now, some of these videos are a little choppy only because I wasn't able to get the quality right, but this was literally her backyard. She was taking this video as Caroline and I were speaking with her, and this is the type of wind she was dealing with. So she didn't know whether to be out there filming this or if she should be inside. Let's see if I get some volume here. Actually, I think you guys are hearing volume. Sorry about that. But short little clips. As she did not want to be outside long, but this was Vero Beach. This is on the west coast of Florida, guys, so the main damage was done on the east coast, and now this is what's happening on the west coast. This was a few hours ago. I'll play that one more time for you. You can see the palm trees flowing. The next one's pretty cool, too. You can almost see debris flying around. In fact, let's get to that one now, and then I'll show you one from when she decided it was time to go inside and film from inside. You can see things flying off the trees. These are parts of the palm leaves flying around. Play that again. Again, these are short little clips, guys, because they're hard to send over cell phone, and that was the only means of transferring video that we had at the time. But I really want to show you some coverage from today alone. sent to us by friends. So there's that video, and then we'll take a look at this one. This is from inside their house. They're checking out their pool deck area, and you could just see the rain just shooting in through the screen covering that covers their pool, and the wind that goes with it. Again, I'm not sure if you guys are hearing this. I'm not hearing anything because I have to turn the volume down while I'm speaking. But you could just get a sense of what's going on near the Vero Beach area. So again, guys, thank you, Leslie and Scott, for these videos. They will be participating in this channel a lot as they live in Florida. And after giving them the news that they're going to be expecting a lot of tornadoes this winter and spring, Scott happens to be a really good photographer, so we could expect some really good pictures from him. Let's see what else we got here before I close this out to you. We already spoke about the major earthquake. Just to let you guys know, this was a 7.8, not a 7.4. They've downgraded it to a 7.3. Some say 7.4. The initial reading was a 7.8, and that is usually what you need to go by because they like to drop those numbers to keep the average low. But major earthquake in Russia today, very close to Anchorage, Alaska. We talked about that earlier. If you want to watch that video, that is the video right before this one, okay? Let's see if there's anything else. I think that's it. We got these two screenshots they sent us. Beautiful shots of devastation. The situation's not good, but the nice clear pictures. So thank you again to those guys. And I believe that's it for this one. If you want to check out this website, this is AccuWeather.com. They have all the info you need on these tornadoes going on in Florida. And just last but not least, here is our Doppler radar. This was about 12 hours ago, and you can see how the severe weather accumulated and then shot across basically the bottom. I would say the Keys. The Keys are involved in this, no doubt about it. The edge of the Keys are right there. So basically it did this diagonal shot across Florida just over Lake Okeechobee and then right through Vero Beach and then straight up, and now we're dealing with the Outer Banks. So you can see that happening as we move forward here. All that moisture coming from the Gulf, mixing with the west to east trade wind, and then the dip in the jet stream alone is causing all this chaos. Once again, guys, hashtag bipolar weather. Spread it. Let's make it a thing. So this is what we have at Frame 200. The more info I get, the more info you guys will get. And we already talked about the latest earthquakes. There it is right there, the 7.3 out of Russia. The other site says 7.4. I got one site that says 7.8. This is a 7.8. Lots of aftershocks here too, guys. So that's a big deal. You need to watch the aftershocks because aftershocks lead to other big quakes, and it also means that the chance of movement is greater. So what are we going to see movement this way and more movement in Alaska? Or are we going to start seeing stuff happen in like Japan and these areas down here? Regardless, we're still getting that big gap in California. We're still waiting for that quake to happen, the big one that everyone keeps talking about. And it just seems to be skipping over this area and even going down to South America before it even hits the California area. So, all right, guys, that's enough rambling. With that said, I'm working on another video as we speak. We have a lot to talk about, but topic of today, certainly Florida. We called this one. We knew it was going to happen, and it's going to happen again. So those of you in Florida, please stay safe, especially our friends Leslie and Scott. Thank you so much for the pictures and helping out the channel. It means a lot. We love it, and we love all you. So thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back soon with another video. Stay tuned. 10:23 p.m. 12/20/2018. Signing off.